Hello, everyone, and welcome today as we take a deeper look at meditation and why it has become more important in today's society, and why people are starting to turn to using meditation and other age old practices as a path to their own inner harmony and bettering their health. In the hustle and bustle of our modern lives, where stress and anxiety seem to be constant companions, there has been a shift and a return to more ancient and time honored practices like meditation, and these have truly emerged as beacons of tranquility. In today's fast paced world, stress has become unavoidable. Modern society has placed an emphasis on goals that are often counterproductive to our own wellness and functioning. We chase goals like success, power, attaining materialistic things, and our own personal and social lives are often even portrayed as needing to fill this false ideal of perfection. Even what we see in the media and what we engage in on social media is often distorted perceptions of reality. And when we add AI on top of that, we aren't always sure if what we're seeing is real, but it continues to portray this false ideal of what should be the goals that we're working on for ourselves. Everyone is working towards good health and good wellness, but what that may look like isn't always the best practices for most people. And when we add all of this together, it really also serves to fuel additional stress daily. Then, when we tack on physical and mental health needs, we can truly struggle in finding a good balance in our lives. Science itself has often cast doubt on age old traditional healing methods, focusing more on the use of medication. Nutrition and exercise are also heavily promoted, but often there's a narrow view of what that looks like, and it's not generally adapted to individual needs. I can say for myself, oftentimes when I go to the doctor to deal with my own physical health needs, as someone who has a chronic illness, I'm often told, oh, well, if you just lose weight, you'd feel better. And they really heavily promote weight loss surgery or even all the new GLP medications at me. And my response is always, I eat healthy and I don't eat a lot. So doing something that's going to suppress my appetite further doesn't make sense. But again, this is what's often pushed at us rather than looking at other more traditional and natural or even homeopathic methods towards healing. More recent scientific studies have, though, been able to prove the effectiveness of traditional healing methods, including those holistic and homeopathic treatments, incorporating more somatic practices, sensory and energy healing, more open mindedness as well about nutrition and diet to include herbal remedies, and also looking at the benefits of massage and acupuncture, just to name a few. We are seeing a shift of including these practices into healthcare more and more. As a therapist, this is something that we are also heavily including within our own practices. It has been a struggle to including these because evidence based is something that we definitely want to gear towards. Don't want to just throw out hokey pokey, um, woo woo type ideals that have no root in evidence, that don't show that they are effective as a whole. But seeing this more scientific mindset of moving towards understanding how traditional and holistic practices are actually beneficial and how they are deeply rooted even within our own bodies is helping to give the evidence that we need to incorporate what we know works through historical data, through just knowing our own bodies into therapeutic and healing practices. For example, when I mentioned the idea of like sensory and energy healing, sound healing is something that's becoming more and more prevalent as well. And if you think about traditional and ritualistic practices in a lot of culture, sound, music, dance, drumming, chanting, even wailing was so big and a part of how they coped with everyday life. It was how they celebrated many things, it was how they dealt with grief and loss. It was how they also prepared themselves to go into situations like battle. And these sounds and this dance and this movement and this energy that was created really promoted a health and wellness for them. So we're seeing that this is more kind of instinctual within our own natural selves. It's something that's deeply rooted within us. You might even say it's in our blood, it's in our genes. And moving back to that has been very helpful. It's why when we are upset, we have a tendency to kind of curl into ourselves and wrap our arms around us because instinctually we want that hug. It's why people rock when they feel upset because that rocking, that movement is soothing. It's also why when we are joyful, we have a tendency to move around a little bit more. It's why sometimes when people are really anxious and they have all this nervous energy running around in their body, they start fidgeting. The body is naturally doing this. So we're finding how now to scientifically incorporate this into our world. And meditation incorporates a lot of this in its daily practices. My own professional experience has shown tremendous benefits of including these traditional healing practices into treatment. I've seen many clients benefit from these more so than just with typical talk therapy alone. I will say that I'm a scientist at heart. I like data, I like research and evidence, and I love that science and ancient wisdom are coming together, showing that that all these things that we have practiced historically, that we have always known to instinctually work, do have evidence to back them now and are much more widely accepted in the medical community. So let's delve today into the essence of meditation, its benefits, and its timeless relevance. Meditation finds its roots in ancient traditions, particularly Hinduism and Buddhism. Sages and seekers have practiced meditation for centuries to attain higher spiritual states. Often, when we talk about meditation, the picture comes to mind of someone sitting in a quiet room with candles or incense, maybe some soft music and lights turned down, sitting in lotus or some similar pose with either chin or namaskar or namaste mudras. We think about being in a situation where we're clearing out our minds, not allowing distractions, finding inner peace, connecting to that deeper level of self. And if that's what you picture, you would be right. However, meditation has evolved over the years into a simple mindfulness practice where we can take simple breaks throughout our day and engage in the many forms of meditation, from simply breathing to more in depth guided meditations, or even practices like Tai Chi, Qigong, or yoga. Some people may also do mantra meditations where they repeat the same word, intention, or phrase to themselves over and over again as they are doing their practice. Meditation can be defined in many ways, but at its core, it's the art of training our attention. It involves achieving a mental state of calm, concentration, and positive emotions.
For our purpose, we're going to be calling meditation as a mindful practice that helps center or ground ourselves and refocus our attention in the present moment. Now, there are many emotional and physical benefits to meditation as well, and you don't have to spend time sitting in a quiet room or in a special pose to do it. One of the things that often frustrates people, though, about meditation is when they're sitting there and they're trying to be quiet and they're trying to focus on their practice, is they cannot turn off their thoughts. And this can cause people to give up because of that mistaken idea that you can have that total control over your thoughts and not get distracted. And they also think that you cannot get distracted in order for meditation to work. But here's a secret for you: you will never, ever be able to completely turn off your thoughts. Our brains just don't work that way. In fact, let's take a quick look at this concept. We're often taught that we can control our thoughts and feelings and certain behaviors, but that's really not the case. We honestly have no real true control over what we feel, and even less control over instinctual behaviors of our body. Control is actually a misnomer of what we truly can do when it comes to our thoughts, feelings, and even instinctual behaviors. In reality, all that we really have control over is how we choose to respond or react to our thoughts and feelings, or what we choose to attend to or give power or energy to. So, like I just said, we can't control instinctual actions, but we can lessen their intensity. So, when we think about emotions such as anxiety, anger, sadness, fear, these are all instinctual and natural ways that we respond to stimuli that our brain receives when we are either being threatened or we're feeling uncomfortable within a situation. And these can be threats either physically or psychologically. So, by learning how to accept or simply acknowledge a thought or feeling rather than grabbing hold of it and running with it, we are able to actually make better decisions in regards to our overall behavior. So, really, truly, what we're able to do is learn how to adjust, reframe. We can regulate or lessen the intensity of certain thoughts, feelings, and even certain instinctual behaviors. So, no, we don't really have control, but we can learn to kind of manage them in a better way. And if you think about it, you can't really tell yourself to stop thinking. You can't tell yourself to no longer think of certain thoughts. You can't tell yourself to stop feeling a way. But you can do a certain practice to change the way that might feel. Again, lessen the intensity of it. At the same time, when we're talking about those instinctual behaviors, we can't tell ourselves to stop breathing, stop blinking. We can't tell ourselves even to stop crying as much as we might want to in certain situations because our body does these things naturally. But by taking that time, acknowledging how we're feeling, acknowledging how we're thinking, again, we can lessen that intensity.
So, why is this important to know in meditation? Simply put, you will have random thoughts pop into your head. You will get distracted, but you do not have to attend to these things. This is not a failure, it is part of the process. The mind is designed to think, to wander, to protect, to plan. Meditation teaches us not to suppress these activities of the mind, but to relate to it differently. It takes practice, but this is an important skill in many aspects of our lives, not just why we're trying to meditate or be mindful. In other videos, I do talk more about being able to diffuse our thoughts and emotions, to gently unhook from them without judgment or resistance. For now, though, I want you to simply understand that you can allow a thought to simply exist without doing anything about it. You don't need to fix it, follow it, or fight it. You can witness it like a leaf floating down the stream and let it pass. In fact, in another video, you will see a meditation specifically about practicing this concept, and it is called Leaf on the Stream. While you are practicing your meditation or any mindful practice, simply recognize the thought and let it continue to flow by if needed. This is the art of non reactivity, a quiet strength that builds over time. And as we think about this, how important is that non reactivity to modern society, especially in a society where we see extreme reactions to very simple stressors or triggers? By learning this art of non reactivity, you are cultivating spaciousness, the ability to hold your experience without being overwhelmed by it. Meditation is not an escape, it's an exploration. It invites us to befriend our thoughts, emotions, and sensations. It's not merely a practice, it's a journey inward, a voyage to explore the depths of our consciousness. It's where we learn to sit with discomfort, to honor joy, to observe subtle shifts in our inner landscape. It's where healing begins, not by changing who we are, but by meeting ourselves with compassion and curiosity. This skill, the ability to observe without reacting, ripples outward. It helps us pause before speaking in anger, breathe through anxiety, and stay grounded in moments of chaos. It's not just about peace on the cushion, it's about developing resilience in life. So, as you sit today, and as you begin your practice into meditation, or continue it to expand on your practice in meditation, know that every breath, every moment of awareness is a step towards greater clarity and connection. You are not trying to become someone else. You are remembering who you are. So, as you allow yourself to digest this information, I invite you to begin exploring your own path into meditation and mindfulness, not as something to master, but as something to meet with curiosity. There is no perfect way to begin. You don't need special tools, a quiet room, or a clear mind. You only need a willingness to pause, to breathe, and to listen inward. Let this be your permission slip to start where you are, to notice what arises, and to know that every moment of awareness is enough. Whether it's one mindful breath in the middle of a busy day or a few quiet moments before bed, each step you take is sacred. This is your path, uniquely yours. And it begins not with striving, but with softness, with presence, with the simple act of showing up for yourself. I'll be here to walk alongside you, offering guidance, reflections, and practices to support your unfolding. Until then, may your breath be your anchor and your awareness your compass. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you find some peace, comfort, curiosity in the videos that I have for you. Until next time, take care.